Welcome to another episode of the CPGGUYS podcast. Our co-hosts, Shri Rajagopalan and Peter V.S. Bond, explore how brands and retailers engage with consumers online, in-store, and everywhere in between. And now, here are Shri and Peter.
Welcome everyone to this episode of the CPGGUYS featuring Peter and Shri. A quick reminder to all audience to visit cpgguys.com, where you can find all our content, our podcast series, as well as all our content on YouTube for each and every episode. And we would love for you, when you get a minute, to tell us what you think about this show and also to advise us on where you want us to take the show with our content. And you can do so by simply going to the Apple Podcast ratings by typing ratethispodcast.com/CPGGuys on your browser. And just like that, we promise you the show will cater to what you tell us you want it to be. For our audience, another reminder, in the months of November and December, we ran a series on Instagram through IGTV called One Question, One Answer, where Peter and I took on one question pending in the industry with a quick answer on what one can do or focus on next. And starting mid-December, we also appended every episode with the Fresh Four for the week. And what that is 4 newsworthy topics in the CPG industry and retail for the past week. Peter and I sum it up very quickly for you. If you just want to watch the Fresh 4, you can also do that by going over to Instagram. Our handle is CPGGuys, and going to the IGTV series Fresh 4. And as of now, we're a handful of episodes deep already. Peter, my friend and my co-host, the king and the captain of loyalty, data science, UGC, and of course, ratings and reviews and content. Welcome, Peter.
Shri, you're the Elton to my Kiki, the Brooks to my Dunn, and the Jan to my Dean. We just make great music together, don't we?
Heck yeah. And the only reason we do this show is so I can get all these analogies out of Peter. I believe he has a million, so we have another 997,000 to go. So many more episodes to come, folks. Well, welcome to the show, Lior, the founder of what's often found on my office table as a snack morning, day, or night. And that's the founder of ThatsIt bars. Welcome, Lior. Would you tell our audience what you do for ThatsIt bars and how this snack has become so epic?
Sure, appreciate it. First of all, thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it. I think you guys are doing great things and really excited to be here today. So my name is Lior Lewensztain. I'm the CEO and founder of ThatsIt. Started this venture, or adventure rather, quite a little while ago, back in 2012. My background's in medicine, so a very different kind of path to get to where I am today. Went into clinical trials for a little bit, decided not to practice, and it was really through med school that I came across the numbers that only about a third of Americans got their daily servings of fruit. It was something that I felt really needed to change. Unfortunately, it's gotten worse since then, so we still have a large mission ahead of us. But went back, got a business degree, and that's really kind of bringing the medical and the business together. And so I kind of look at it as preventative medicine, if you will, just on the masses, on a grander scale, not so localized. So we knew we wanted to create a clean and very simple product. We whittled it down to 2 ingredients, and that's pretty much where the name comes from. It was just that simple.
No kidding, Lior. The future of healthcare is self-care, and having the right servings of fruits and vegetables in your diet every day is definitely well on its way to transforming healthcare to self-care. There's no debate. And we'll get into more of that. But going back to this career journey of yours, it started at University of Southern California. You mentioned you became an MD and a doctor, and then you got your MBA, and now you're a founder of a fast-growing snacks and nutrition-oriented food product. How does it all come together? This didn't happen in a day, didn't happen in a week. Can you take us through the journey of USC through founder and then putting out innovation after innovation in the marketplace at brick and mortar retailers and now e-commerce as well?
Sure. So as I kind of mentioned, I was always on the medical track. That was kind of what I was kind of wanting to do. That's the track I chose. And I really didn't like the way that medicine was going by way of the HMOs and the insurance and all that. And I decided to go, after completing med school and all the schooling, to go into clinical trials for a little bit to kind of just try to help and see what we could do on that front. And I quickly learned, kind of going back to wanting to really help people, and like you mentioned, really kind of using this kind of preventative measure of food. I've always been a foodie. I've always really been into and enjoyed food. So I felt it was a great way to be able to help people. And childhood obesity epidemics are rampant. We really need to be able to start younger and really help starting from the younger ages. So what better way than with food? Fruit was and still is, unfortunately, just one of those areas where people like it. It's not always as convenient. You have to wash, peel, cut, and what do you do with banana peel or an apple core? So wanted to make it simple, really wanted to be able to provide a portable product that was really just fruit, that didn't have added sugars or preservatives or really anything else in it. And so that was, we did a lot of research. That was the hard part, is trying to find out how not to incorporate all those pieces into it, because it's much easier to do it that way. But we were able to do so. And at the end of the day, there's literally just 2 ingredients, and they're both real 100% fruit. So we started in farmers markets to see if the product had legs. We quickly realized, given like real-time feedback from our consumers at that point, that we were onto something, that people enjoyed the product. And fortunately, within I think a very short period of time, a couple months, we were rolling out nationally at Whole Foods, so as our first customer. So it was a very, very steep learning curve, very quick time frame to get started, and then to have to ramp up on a national level. But it's been a really, really fun ride. I really enjoy being able to try to get more people to eat healthy products. And really at the core of who we are as a brand is just the simplicity, the portability, the ease factor that comes with our products, and without having all the additional ingredients and things that just don't have to be in there.
So I'm tempted to ask you, is it really a product that has no gum arabic or silicon dioxide?
Absolutely none. It's literally just fruit. And so, there are a lot of products out there that have purees, concentrates, juices that claim that they're real fruit. But at the end of the day, we really wanted to stay away from that. We wanted to provide something that didn't sacrifice the nutritional profile that you see on the nutrition panel. It didn't have hidden sugars built into it because it's a byproduct of processing. So we really wanted to keep it as clean and as natural and as real as we possibly could.
Lior, welcome to the show. It's such a pleasure to meet you. Prior to being at PowerViews, I spent some time at Spin, so I'm quite familiar with your business successes over the last couple of years. I want to take this at a higher level. You've been at this for 8 years. I'd sure love your opinion, because you've clearly built up a wealth of experience in this area. What do you think are the must-dos for building a successful food or beverage type of a company, particularly one that's focused around health and wellness?
Sure. I think, first and foremost, it depends on what your end goal is, obviously, right? So, but assuming that, like me, you really want to build something for the long term and really put the right pieces in place. At the end of the day, look, taste is king. There's no question about it. That's one piece that has to be there. At least for the most part. I mean, there are products out there that I think are not, the most appetizing and do incredibly well. But for the most part, I think taste has to be there. I think you got to find a need state. You got to find a void. And I think we've been able to do that in terms of really focusing on fruit. Really prior to us, and even still today, there really isn't a real fruit solution out there that can provide, all the nutrients, all the benefits of fruit in a package on-the-go product. So finding that and carving out that need state that exists. Who we are at our base is transparency. We post on our website where our ingredients are from. We really do believe in sharing that information and letting people know and giving them that information so that they know what they're putting into their bodies. I think the consumer is a lot more, and I'm sure you know, Peter, a lot more educated these days about what they're consuming, reading the labels, turning the package over and looking at the nutrition panels. These are all practices that have really been kind of taking quite an effect over the last couple of years. And I think it's starting to finally catch up to the point where consumers just want to know what they're eating and want to know that it's good for them. Simplicity. Don't overthink it. Don't put too much into it. The simpler, the better. And oftentimes that's difficult. So really being able to harp on that simplicity and express and message out that simplicity, because that's what people really want. And then at the end of the day, it has to be scalable. You have to, you can create something in your mom's kitchen or in your kitchen and, or in your garage. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to put it together in a way that you can, for the long term, you can grow it. And it has to be sustainable, obviously, in that sense. So I think that those are probably the areas of focus that I would work around.
So I've been waiting to say this, but will one ThatsIt a day, especially the Apple product, keep the old Lior, the MD away?
Well, we do have Apple in there for a reason. So we like to have Apple in our core regular line of fruit bars, really for that nutrition profile. It's the unsung hero of superfruits. It doesn't get the recognition. It has the old sayings of, keeping the doctor away, but it really does provide a tremendous amount of nutrition. And so we wanted to be able to keep at least a constant there in terms of that, while offering, the flavor profiles of strawberries, blueberries, mango, etc. So that was important to us in terms of maintaining that nutritional profile.
That said about the actual ingredients and the efficacy of the product, one of the things that's happened in 2020 with the pandemic, which has just dragged on forever, is consumer shopping habits, not necessarily what they shop for, but how they shop and how they browse and find product, especially as you mentioned in this space, education labels are the key. Things are moving more and more towards online ecosystems of learning, education, and then shopping, aka we can call it e-commerce and omnichannel. Specifically, how is ThatsIt Bar preparing for that journey, and what initiatives have you taken upon in 2020 that you feel will be effective go forward in that space?
I think that's a great question. I think we were bullish and wanting to invest in the D2C, the e-commerce space, and we had started doing that prior to COVID. I think, and from what I've heard from retailers, from other companies, these last 10 months have hyper accelerated it. What was supposed to happen over years has happened in a matter of months. And so the consumers have been kind of forced into this way of shopping, and it's very new. It's starting to really affect all ages, all demographics. You're having a lot of people who were kind of on the older side of the age demographics that never really touched Instacart as an app, right? And are now just finding it more convenient, whether it's for safety concerns or just for convenience. And so I think that that's definitely not going away. I think consumer minds have really shifted in terms of how they are going to purchase products. And so we and are continuing to do so right now, are really heavily investing in terms of team, in terms of resources, technology, to really shore up our own D2C, as well as putting a lot of marketing behind the Amazons, the third-party.coms, the retailer.coms. It's more and more becoming this ever-shifting omni-channel, as you will. I think it's going to even be kind of beyond that. There's so many new layers now of, purchasing online, picking up at the store, or the Instacarts of the world, where there's kind of a middleman now, or delivery services. So it's really shifting very rapidly, and so we're trying to, as I'm sure everybody else is, really try to stay ahead of it and see what, where and how people are shopping. How do you intercept the consumer if they're not walking down the aisle anymore? You don't have that. You've taken away that impulse buy. And so it's really a matter of how do you communicate with the shopper while they're in that shopping mindset.
Lior, I think during 2020 on our podcast, Shri and I talked to a lot of people, and we basically advocated that D2C is pretty much non-negotiable for brands going into 2021. How is ThatsIt tackling the D2C approach from the standpoint of fulfillment? Are you partnering from the standpoint of building the data? How are you leveraging the 1P data? Would just love to peel the onion back and really understand what is your approach to D2C and why do you think it's working for your particular business?
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes back down to like the tech stack, what you have in place in order to collect that data, and obviously, again, what you do with that data. So being able to hyper segment your customers by product type, by demographic, allows you then to put it back out and retarget them and email market them in ways that are really useful and convenient for them. If they're looking at a blueberry bar on our website, we know that they have interest in blueberries, and we want to make sure that they're seeing things about blueberries, but then also recommending other products that they might like, that whether it's a chocolate blueberry product or things to that nature. So it's really important that we utilize the technology to obviously learn as much as possible, so that we can then learn not only about our customers, but also that can help us with innovation. And really being able to understand what our customers are looking for. We can use that data and reach back out to the consumers to say, hey, what do you think about this idea or this concept, or even crowdsource ideas about new innovation. So it really allows us to kind of play and utilize that pool of consumers to be able to market to lookalikes and to be able to drive the business in a lot of really fun ways.
Lior, how are you using customer feedback to promote your products?
Very, very carefully.
Okay.
We like to, whenever we introduce new innovation, we like to do it online. So it gives us real-time feedback, whether it's through Amazon or a website. And to your point, you get these customer reviews, you get honesty, right? Because that's how people review. And so it really allows us, especially at the beginning, to see if there's certain changes or tweaks we need to do with the product. If there's certain messaging that's working, and you can A/B test a lot of these factors from a marketing perspective, from a product perspective. It really allows us to have a wealth of data, pricing even, in terms of being able to say, okay, if we shift it $1 this way or that way, how much of an effect will there be? And oftentimes you get surprised, and there are a lot of really interesting insights that come from that. So
I think there are too many people that are afraid that they're going to get negative feedback, and I've always looked at it as feedback is a gift, and if that can help you improve your product, why would you not want to hear it?
Couldn't agree more.
So speaking of D2C feedback and curating your innovation portfolio, would love to learn, when you started this company several years ago, what the innovation methodology was. It's clearly anchored on fruits. Is that the future of ThatsIt? And how do you specifically source your materials? Are they all made in the USA? And is it all fresh fruit? And then how do you then go on to decide if a particular SKU or a particular flavor is right for the marketplace in the first place, and then you put it out to test online? Like, how does all this happen?
So we started with fruit. The idea there was obviously stemming from people needing to consume more fruit. I think what's happened over time, and it's really started to take shape more recently, is that we're starting to build out a platform. And we never really looked at ourselves as a bar company or as a fruit company. It was really more the startings of what we wanted to build, which was a platform which really now is turning into a plant-based platform, where we can provide different types of products, obviously within the guidelines of our brand, that are simple, clean, transparent, but within different categories, for different eating occasions, for different demographics. So we now have, products that are positioned more for kids, and really trying to disrupt the fruit snack category. We have dark chocolate truffles. So if you want a little bit of that healthy decadence, it's literally just dark chocolate and fruit. So we're able to really come up with these concepts and innovation. A lot of it has been fruit focused for the most part up until now. We will start moving into veggie as part of our innovation pipeline. But the idea is to really stay within the plant-based world. We're starting to offer items that have a little bit of protein involved as well. So really starting to play in different areas, different categories where we feel we can have an impact and really disrupt and bring something different to the table. We don't like to kind of copycat or me too. There are enough protein bars out of the world. I don't think we need another one. But there are really no fruit bars out there. We're able to incrementally bring and add something to that category. And so, for example, with fruit snacks, we have a new product called Crunchables. It's a single ingredient. It's 100% organic apple, and it's crunchy. So we're coming in with, and it's organic. So we're coming in with, multiple points of differentiation into a category that's called fruit snacks, but yet it's not really made up of real fruit. It's purees and concentrates and fruit leathers and gummy bears, essentially. So we really wanted to bring that name back to what it really is supposed to mean in terms of being a fruit and a snack. So we look at things like that, and we really want to be able to get consumers, whether it's kids, whether it's adults, whether you're on the go, we want to be able to provide different options for different eating occasions. Fortunately, our products, they're all allergen free, which is a huge, huge piece of kind of who we've become. It's a very large demographic, unfortunately, and also continues to grow. I think 1 in 4 households make food purchase decisions based on allergens. I mean, that's 80 to 90 million people in the US. That's a tremendous amount of people. So they do not have a lot of options in terms of snacks. It's starting to get a little bit better, but they need options where they can remove the stress from their household, their family, and be able to share in food and not say, you know what, you have the allergy, here's something for you, but everybody else gets something else, right? We're really happy that we can participate and help in that and try to get people to be able to enjoy it and consume together and make it easier for their lifestyles, but still not have to worry and be able to trust in our brand and not worry that there's nuts in the factory or anything like that. So there's a lot of different variables like that come into play. And in terms of innovation, we really look to all of those pieces to be able to stay within our brand guidelines, and make sure that we're providing something that is needed in the market. So we take a lot of those variables into account when creating new products, and that's the fun part. We love innovation. We have innovation probably for the next 5 to 10 years at this point, just because every week there's always something that pops up that we kind of come up with, and there's just not enough hours in the day, but we'll get there.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Lior, but impulse is probably not an insignificant part of the reason that people add your product to the basket. And in the traditional brick and mortar world, there were some tried and true techniques about product location, displays, other types of circular promotion. And as you move to the digital shelf, I'd love to understand what you are using from a tools perspective to ensure that your product is front and center and has an opportunity to reach a digital basket for people who are shopping online.
Yeah, no, I think it's really interesting what's happening now. That impulse it's not completely out of the door, but it's definitely on its way out, especially given COVID, given the new shopping behaviors of consumers. And so that's what I was talking about, is trying to intercept the consumer, right? Before they're making that purchase, or even going into the store just to pick it up. They're not even going into the store these days. So I think areas like Instacart, like media buying on those kind of platforms, whether it's Amazon, whether it's Target.com, really trying to be able to play within that world of search and browse and try to get yourself moved up in the ranks, because that's really what it comes down to. I think, was it like 60 or 70% of purchases on Amazon are made in the first 4 search results or 5 search results. So, that's what it comes down to, is being able to play well within the algorithms to move yourself up, but also be able to boost and enhance that through marketing spend, and having the right keywords to be able to drive what people are looking for. So it's just really a combination of those things. But the more sophisticated I think retailers become in terms of their offerings with that digital aspect of how do you add to cart, I think that's really where you need to play in order to be able to kind of move forward in the right way these days.
So I'm thinking a couple of the channels that a healthy, I should stop saying snack bar, a healthy food bar, is that the right word? A healthy food bar.
No, we're snacks.
Bar, is anchored off is one, food service and distribution. And the second one is convenience, which could be convenience store, on the go, airports, malls, things of that nature, just on the go. And those 2 areas have been significantly impacted, especially food service in 2020. Did y'all see a downstream impact? And if so, how did you navigate it? And then, given that those 2 channels may never come back to their entirety go forward, how are y'all navigating through that and managing this for the company?
I think they will come back. I think it's just a matter of time. Convenience, whether I think before COVID was actually on an interesting trajectory in terms of almost on its way trying to meet grocery, and increasing the type of options that were healthier, fresh, better for you. They were really making some great strides there. I think it's going to continue once this all kind of moves through. They're getting a younger demographic into convenience. And I think that people are going to start using that as more of a kind of a quick stop, like a localized stop for them to be able to do a quick grocery run instead, or even just, lunch or whatnot, instead of going to the grocery store. We were fortunately able to perform better than category in convenience. I think we were able to gain distribution, which wasn't the case for, I know, a lot of companies. And I think, again, it's just, we were able to just get some great hits throughout the last year in convenience. And I think that's just a testament to the product and people wanting healthier products. Even though the traffic was down, we were still able to maintain. Food service was definitely hit very hard. We were starting to grow really, really nicely in food service. And obviously the travel segment, the hospitality segment, those kind of areas, even kind of office snacks, at the Google campuses of the world. Those are all areas where we were starting to really gain a lot of traction. I think that's going to come back for the most part. People are going to start traveling soon. They're going to go to hotels. They're going to go on vacations. Whether as many people go back to an office, that I don't know. But it'll, you're even starting to see that aspect change where the office coffee / snack service is now not only at the office. There are companies that are for these Googles sending it to the homes, right, as the new office. So it's forcing companies to adapt and to modify for the new norms and to create some innovation in that respect. I think the tech is still not there yet. It still has to catch up, but I think it's going to come back. And we were, again, fortunate. There were certain areas that were down, obviously, like travel, but there were also other opportunities that allowed us to fortunately help out in larger ways, that, like, for example, meal kits for some underserved communities, and being able to provide a real fruit solution for that's sustainable, that's we have a 24-month shelf life, easy to work with for those types of need states. So we were very fortunate in that sense. And I think it all comes back to the fact that we're fruit, in terms of our core products. It's a staple of every culture, of every diet. And it really is, it's a need state. So for us, it was, we were fortunate we were able to shift a little bit on that front as well.
Thinking of what's next and things of that nature, if you think about the product as a true fruit constituent, are you discussing in terms of channels, how this could be relevant at, let's say, educational institutions, especially public schools, talking to doctors about the importance of fruit in the everyday diet, or talking to the government perhaps about a curriculum of education or participating in food distribution as well to food banks, pantries, etc. So are you guys already evolving to those things?
We are, and we actually have, we started a while ago. We've worked with a lot of K-12 school systems across the country to provide them with our fruit products as a means of satisfying their servings of fruit. Some of our newer products, I think, like the Crunchables, would be an amazing solution for them. The issue, unfortunately, is that it comes down to cost. And at the end of the day, their budgets are incredibly small for how much they have to feed each student. And so it's always kind of like a give and take, dealing with what really is fruit. Is applesauce fruit? Is apple juice considered fruit and a fruit serving? Unfortunately, oftentimes it is, even though, it really shouldn't be. So, those are areas where we're constantly trying to provide a real fruit solution. It'll save them on the cost of waste that happens with fresh fruit. I mean, we highly endorse fresh fruit. We think everybody should have it, but it's not always convenient. And so when you're dealing with, apples that are bruised and bananas, and can you transport it through lunches and stuff like that? I think it's like 70 to 80% of fresh fruit goes to waste in the public school system. That's tremendous. And unfortunately, so you're losing out on the kids not getting the nutrition. And then you're also losing out from a financial aspect on the cost of the waste. And so we're able to come in with a solution that provides both, whether they want to eat it then, great. If not, they can take it home with them. And at a very cost-effective manner. So we're very heavily interested and invested in working with the K-12 school systems, working with the government to be able to provide easier solutions. And unfortunately, at the end of the day, they say great, but it comes down to cost and how much budget a lot of these areas have.
Okay. Before I ask the last question, Shri, I'll say Lior will probably tell me, and it's dawning on me, that my blueberry flavored enhanced water is not qualifying as a fruit. So I'm going to have to adjust my diet after this call.
However, Peter, in this duration of this episode, I have definitely had 2 servings of my fruit.
Of course you have, because you're such a goody two-shoes. So the pandemic has obviously changed shopping behavior, particularly around food and beverages. I think Shri and I would both agree that it's for the good, because so much more food prep and food consumption is taking place in the home. And that means that oftentimes we make better choices than when we go to a chain restaurant with something that looks really nice, but when you break it down, boy, is it not so good. From my perspective, or at least from your perspective, I'd like to understand, how has your company in any way responded to this in terms of the packaging, how you market? What have you done to really take advantage of the changes that are happening to make your product more relevant?
I think a lot of it is coming in the form of new innovation that we're going to be coming with. Okay. And trying to, again, meet the consumer where they want to shop and how they want to shop. Consumers could go into the store, but they could be looking up on their phone if Amazon is cheaper, or if there are other flavors, or there are other options. So there's a lot of ways that we need to start to continue to understand the consumer and how they're shopping. And COVID has definitely shifted that in a very, very massive way. And so I think that it's really just a matter of testing. You gotta, different products will have, different areas of success, whether it's trying to capture them on the Instacarts of the world, or trying to market to them through social ads and social commerce, which is becoming a new big thing, or bigger thing rather, where they're already on the social platform, and let's lead them, easily into a purchase. So everyone's adapting, everybody from social to marketing, and really trying to meet the consumer at every turn, where they're trying to shop, and how they want to shop. And the more data you get, obviously the more insightful you can be, and learn more about that. So it's just a matter of, data, and really collecting and segmenting and learning as much from it as possible.
Shri, did you hear that? Data. Where have we heard that before?
There is an inherent joy of listening to Dr. Lior, ex-MD, or MD today, talking to us about social commerce, data, and hacking growth on Amazon by being on the first page via content, which is really SEO.
I love it.
Absolutely. So I have one kind of offshoot question for you. Where is the primary consumption of this product taking place? Is it at home, on the go, out of home?
I think prior to COVID, it was definitely probably more so on the go, right? I think bars in general were more of a on the go lifestyle type of product. You're going to the gym, you're traveling, going to school, at work. It was much more convenient to be able to consume fruit on the go. I think it's like 70 or 80% of people are actually now cooking at home, and most of the meals are happening at home. So in that respect, we've had to shift. We've had to really rethink about how people are consuming food. And so people still need fruit. It's still not always as convenient. You can still just, have a snack and have a fruit bar to hold you over. But it's also finding ways to incorporate that into the cooking kind of celebration of it all. And so people, and comes from, again, going back to customer feedback. Throughout the years, people have told us how they've chopped it up and put it on a cheese plate, as the dried fruit component, or chopped up and put it onto a salad. We have a new Crunchables product that is our crunchy apple and pumpkin seeds. A bag has 12 grams of protein. So this is a way now to put it on top of your oatmeal or your yogurt as a topper and get a plant-based protein. So incorporating it into different ways and really understanding how people are consuming. You have to understand that in order to be able to create new products and to be able to market to them. So I think it's just a matter of paying attention to that and how people are consuming.
That's awesome, Lior, which made me think of another one now, which is a very simple question for you. In 60 seconds, we talked a lot about the business growth, channels, how shopping is transforming, but you are a founder of a food product company, and we never asked you in this long and arduous journey of making it successful, in 60 seconds or less, what was the hardest part about this journey? Is it the P&L? Is it something else?
In total honesty, it's really the people. It's trying to find the right team. I think that's kind of the one of the wild cards in it all. And it takes time. It takes time to find the people that really want to be here, that believe in the vision, that have that entrepreneurial spirit, and that can really add tremendous value. And it's just being able to identify that, the leaders that really want to come in and change the world and really be a part of something and build something. It's not for everyone, it is what it is. But being able to identify that and to identify those types of qualities in our team, it's tough. It's tough. And sometimes you have to, keep on adapting and shifting until you get there. But there's no question that the right person in the right position can be, a boon for a company and really take them to the next level. So.
Absolutely. It's amazing that when you talk to the financial community, the most important benchmark is the EBITDA. But leader after leader we talk to in this show, Peter and I on the CPG guys, they say the same thing. The most important part of this journey, the toughest part of this journey, and the most rewarding part of this journey is the people they surround themselves with. With that, a reminder to all audience, week over week, you can find us on the cpgguys.com, cpgguys.com. And for those watching, there's Peter proudly showing off his t-shirt with the logo. And by the way, Shri has it on as well. We're not competing. It's not like we're competing. And do rate us on the Apple Podcast by going to ratethispodcast.com/cpgguys. Lior, we're grateful you came to the show and talked to us about what's going on with ThatsIt and the future of ThatsIt. So thank you very much for doing that.
Thank you.
Peter, week over week, it's a pleasure doing this with you.
Shri, I love this journey. We're kicking off 2021 with the Founders Series. This is a great episode. As I said, I'm familiar with ThatsIt Fruit, and I'll just ask one question of Lior. If our audience wants to find your product online, what URL should they visit?
ThatsItFruit.com.
Perfect. Thank you for that. Want to make sure people know ThatsItFruit.com. Shri, thank you.
And ThatsItFruit.com, my favorite snack bar, as I've mentioned before. And now I also know it's not a snack, and I will not call it that anymore because it's my actual. I will claim with my spouse that it is based on doctor certification by an MD, that it is my daily serving of fruits for the day. And with that, we will wrap up this episode. See you next week.